Hello, my name's Karina Thompson, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can easily customize a ribbon attachment super design to create your own unique embroidery design. So I'm in the mySewnet embroidery software. If I just click up here, you can see that I have the universal large hoop. That's the 360 by 260 size hoop. I'm going to click OK on that, just so that you know the size frame that I'm working within. But what I am actually going to do is I am going to click down here on the zoom to rectangle, and I am just going to come in just so that I can zoom in a little bit closer. It makes it easier to see the work that I'm doing. Okay. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to make an embroidery to go on the back of a shirt for basically a boy toddler. So it's quite a small size. I know that the width needs to be around 22 centimeters. So that's 220 mil. So the I'm going to go to the Embellish tab up here. So if I click on this, this is where you would go if you're looking to add ribbon attachment stitches, or if you want placement stitches for hot fixed crystals, something like that. So on the Embellish tab, there is a box that says Ribbon Super Designs, and if you click on this you can see that there's some folders with different sorts in. So there's animals, climate, so we've got sort of stars and snowflakes, we've got some flowers, hearts, there's some mixtures, and there's some ornamentation. Now in actual fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Hearts tab, and I am going to choose this design here, and I am going to click it so it's highlighted. You can see that it's got a blue box around it, and then I am going to click open, and then I'm going to click on the red box up here to close that down. Now you can see that this is actually too big. I know that this width here is 26 centimeters. And you can see that I'm probably going over there by quite a bit. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to choose, I'm going to put my cursor onto one of these corners over here, and then I am going to left click, and I am just going to squeeze this down a little bit more. Okay, and then I can put that in the center. Now I can still see that this is too big, but there's a couple of things I just want to talk about. Can you see that we've got this green line here? It's actually a box you can see. Now that is the area that you can actually place a ribbon stitch in. It's the nature of the ribbon attachment that it can't actually stitch all the way into all the corners of the hoop, and that's why it's slightly smaller. So again, what I'm going to do in actual fact, I'm just going to squeeze this down. So I know that basically each one of these squares here is a centimetre, so that I know this is 26 centimeters, so I'm losing 2 centimeters on one side, another 2 there. So I actually know that this dimension is, if I take 26 centimeters and take 4 centimeters off it, so I know that this is about 22. So if I just squeeze that down a little bit more like that, okay, and again I'm just going to zoom in back again just so that I can see what's going on. Okay, so I know that this is about the right size that I'm looking to work with. So what I can see here is I've got my super design in there. It's ready to go, but I actually want to customize it, so I actually want to add some lettering to it. So I'm going to come up here to the Letter tab, and I'm going to click on that, and I am going to type in block capitals. I'm going to I'm going to type trouble, then I'm going to hit return, and I'll explain why troublemaker. And I am going to choose a typeface, and in actual fact I want to go with the San Fran retro, but and just so that you know, in actual fact, a kind of a top tip, can you see down here it says San Fran, and then I've got the figure 15 to 60 mil, and that basically means that any of the fonts in here, that this one is optimized to be that you can use it from a 15 mil up to 60 mil, and that's just a top tip. You can see we've got various different sizes on here, but I'm after this one, and in actual fact I'm going to, on the size box, I am going to change this to 25 mil. Okay, and what I would like to do is I am going for the this circular shape here. If I was to choose this one just as an example, so this is the straight, that always tends to be default. If I click apply, that's just going to put all my lettering in a block like that, which is fine. That you know, that could look good. In actual fact, I'm just going to delete that out. So I'm going to left click and I'm going to go delete. Don't want that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the full circle tab, and if I click apply now, you can actually see what I've got is my writing basically in two halves of a circle, and that's why I wanted to put that return key in there. If I hadn't have done that, all that writing would have just been in one long arc, which is fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze this down a little bit. So basically, just again, top tips here. Can you see we've got this little green node on here? If I wanted to move that lettering to one side, I could do that just by twisting that, but in actual fact I kind of want that aspect of symmetry in there, and I am just having a look at that. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm maybe just going to make it just a tiny bit smaller. Let's just check that I'm happy with that. Yep, so how I can do that is I'm just going to again, I'm on the green node here, and I'm just going to squeeze that up a tiny little bit. Okay, yep, I am happy with that. Now if we look over here on the film strip, this is basically the instructions that we're going to be giving the machine, to the machine, the order that we would like stuff stitched out. But in actual fact, what we want to do is we want to do our lettering first and then embroider, then use the ribbon attachment. So what I'm going to do, I've got my lettering highlighted. You can see it, we've got the blue box here, and what I'm going to do is I am going to left click on that, and can you see we've got this little dark line? I'm actually dragging it all the way up to the top, and that means when we come to stitching this out, the first instruction on the machine will be to do this embroidery, and then I'm going to be putting my ribbon attachment on, because you're not going to, I'm going to have all sorts of problems in terms of my stitch out round here if I'm trying to embroider up nice and close to where my ribbon stitches have already happened. Now there's a couple of changes I'm looking to make on this design. The first one is I'm going to do a colour change. So I'm over here on the design panel, and I'm just going to do a double left click on that, and that brings up the colour selection dialog box. I'm going to go with a quick colour here, so I'm just going to click on, because I want something, in actual fact we're going to go with that sort of a chocolate brown, and I am going to click OK. So straight away I can see that my lettering has changed to that. So you might be saying, well, that's great, Karina, but there are a couple of things I'm going to need a bit of help with, and the first one is going to be, well, how much ribbon am I going to need to put onto my ribbon attachment. Now there's a couple of ways you can find out that information, and I find this is the easiest one. Okay, so I am going to go back to my Embellish tab. Okay, you can see I've got the heart is the active layer. I know that for two reasons. One, because in the film strip I've got a blue box, but also I've got the green nodes around that. And what I am actually going to do is I am going to click on the select button here, and can you see that that has changed the icon on my cursor? So what I'm now going to do is I am going to do a left click. You can see that's brought the nodes up, and now if I go right click, that opens up a new dialog box where if I click on properties, I can actually make some either changes, but can you see here it is telling me that this bit, basically my red ribbon heart, is going to need 36 centimeters of ribbon. And at this point it is saying that it's making the suggestion that this is a 10 mil ribbon. So I can click off that. So that's quite a useful way of finding that out. But also I know that in actual fact I am going to choose one of the wings, and again, just like before, I am going to click on select, and I am going to click on that, get the nodes, so I really know that I'm delving down into sort of the nuts and bolts information. And again, if I then go right click, I can go on to the properties, and this is actually telling me some other information. Now I know that I'm not actually going to be doing this navy. I actually want this. I've got some very nice silver grey organza ribbon that I'm going to use, because this is a design for basically a 2-year-old boy, and so I'm going to go with that. But also, can you see here that this is saying that the size of the ribbon is 8 mil. Well, in actual fact, I know that it's a little bit thicker than that. I know that it's a 10 mil. So I am going to choose 10 from the pull down menu. I am going to click apply. I can also make a note, and I can see that it's suggesting basically 69 centimeters of ribbon required. What I'd always I'd always, you know, you still want to have a little bit of a seam allowance on that just in case, but I'm then going to click apply, and then I am going to click OK, and I'm going to repeat this for this design. So again, I've clicked it, I'm going to go select, get the nodes active. If I did want to, I could actually change the position of some of those nodes if I wanted to, and again I'm going to go properties. You can actually be if you're being very accurate with your color, you can actually come in, there's a very wide range, or you can actually be very specific if you wanted to, but in actual fact this is just for guide purposes only. And I think in actual fact I'm going to cancel that and go back in, because I know that I'm using this quick color, and again I'm going to just move that up to 10 mil. I am going to click apply, and then I'm going to click OK. Click up here, send to mySewnet, and go send to Designer Epic 2. Click on that, and there we go, we've got the dialog box saying design was sent to machine. I can click OK, and then it's good to go. I hope you found this a useful video, just showing the potential of how easy it is to combine existing embroideries or lettering, for instance, with the ribbon super designs within the mySewnet embroidery system. Look out for more films in this series. Happy sewing!